Project Ladybird is a new, exciting initiative that we are launching to partner, especially with rural folks like yourself. My name is Drew. I'm the digital director with TDP. You can scan this QR code. That's my virtual digital or electronic business card that Jenna showed me how to use today. And now I have a QR code. The digital director was carrying around paper business cards, and I thought this cannot stand. So anyway, you can contact me there. Happy to talk to you more about this as we go along. So I want to talk to you a bit about kind of where this idea came from before we get into what the idea itself is. So back about a month before the election last year, we had a couple of folks reach out that really wanted to run radio ads on their small town radio stations. They knew there was this one particular the show that that everybody in town listened to, everybody in the area listened to, and they wanted to run ads on those particular stations, but they didn't have content to run. They asked if we would put together an ad for it. Normally, with the month before the election, that's not a new project that we're going to take on, but the stars kind of aligned. We had some free time that freed up, and we put together a pretty decent radio ad that they were able to run. It ran in on a couple of different stations. But as we were working on it, we were thinking about how cool it would be if we could do that on a much larger scale. Use the party's expertise when it comes to messaging, when it comes to design, and to generate high quality content that we can then turn around and then provide to grassroots groups like y'all, and then that you can then take and spread a unified message across the state. Things that will both be broad. Things that would be broad for across the state, but also uniquely specific to your district, in the way that will work the best for your area, and to have that content that's available year round in an on year and an off year. So that's where we came up with Project Ladybird. Project Ladybird, as it says, a first-of-its-kind distributed messaging service powered by the Texas Democratic Party, providing county parties, local organizations, and other grassroots activists with branded, dynamic, and relevant resources to spread Democratic messaging across the state. I'm really excited about being able to dive into it. As you can see, this is one that we mocked up. We actually fixed this one up just this morning, specifically for East Texas. These are some tentative numbers that we found, but kind of the idea is we're spreading this message across the state. I have a few friends, believe it or not, that don't vote, and as much as I talk to them about it, they don't vote. And a lot of that comes down to they don't see that Democrats are doing anything for them. They don't see the way that Democrats are directly impacting their lives. And we try so many ways to reach out to them, but we have to do everything that we can to get our message in front of as many people as possible. And so like for this, for example, we'd love to have a newspaper ad or a radio ad or a billboard showing exactly how Democratic policies are impacting your communities. Something that Hunter brought up, we were talking just earlier, rural hospitals, I don't know if y'all are aware, are closing a good bit. He showed me a picture of the rundown hospital in Clarksville. There's so many things we could do, like rural, your Texas Republicans are closing your rural hospitals with a picture of your local hospital, not just a hospital, but a place that people recognize, drive by every day. Just an idea we had in the past couple of hours. So still trying to bake that one out a little bit. But so the idea is TDP will create and supply content with branded design and messaging to ensure that we're providing a consistent experience across the state. So that can include newspaper ads, radio ads, billboards, like we mentioned before. So it will be the role of grassroots groups like y'all, so county parties, local organizations, who will identify those local advertising opportunities, what radio stations we would want to run an ad on, what particular show we would want to run it on, what newspapers we would want to put an ad in, what edition of that newspaper we would want to put an ad in, billboard locations, things like that. That would fall to groups like you. And the idea is that you would organize amongst yourselves, because the other roles would be to actually place the ads. So you'll interface with your local newspaper, with your local radio station, as we've already talked about doing a good bit today, to actually place those ads. And then y'all will actually help facilitate the fundraising for placing those ads. So you may know folks in your town who all want to pull your resources together to put an ad in the local paper on a set day, or that want to run a billboard in your town or something like that. So that will be the role of y'all, will be to actually facilitate the funding and the placement of these ads that we will provide to you. So the way that'll look, we'll create projectladybird.com. It doesn't exist yet. That just redirects to our website, but it will, I promise. It will be the public-facing site that describes the program, provide mock-ups of the ads and the things that we'll create, and then provide an option for supporters that can sign into the program. And then once folks sign up, they'll go through a brief self-training process, fill out an application, and then once they're approved, they'll get access to a private site. That site will have, they'll be able to look at the content that we have available, see what options that there are out there, any other additional information and guidance, and even submit suggestions for future ads. A lot of the messaging for this, I'm not sure if I put this in the slides or not, but a lot of the messaging for this is going to be based heavily on leaning on our messaging committee, our rural messaging committee. We want this to be a really collaborative process to make sure that we are speaking the languages in the parts of the state that we need to be speaking. So beyond that, TDP will provide ongoing training on ad placement. Karen Wilkerson has incredibly graciously offered to do some help with that, on helping folks know how to interface with your local newspapers, radio stations, etc. So we will have ongoing training on that, even some basic design, compliance. You have to have certain language if it's paid for by your party or by your group. So we will provide continuing ongoing training for that. So your role in this Project Ladybird is inherently grassroots. It will allow local groups like y'all to get more attention. So you can have Smith County Democratic Party paid for by Smith Democratic Party. This is a good way to get your name out there, to your point earlier, so that folks know that there are Democrats around, that there's a group they can be a part of. There's so much of an echo chamber out there that we're not speaking into, and this is a great way to help people understand that there are other Democrats out there that feel like them, and that gives people permission to do that. One of the first things that we'd love you to do is identify donors in your area. Think of people, maybe write down a few names right now if you're thinking of them. Think of folks who you think would be interested in making some donations to make this happen in your area. And think about how y'all can pool your monies together to make that happen. And then also identify advertising opportunities. Think about radio stations in your area. Think about the newspapers in your area. Think about specific shows, specific editions of those things, billboard locations in your area, and also consider the cost. Something that was brought up to me, is it more important to you to have one expensive, prominent billboard or one expensive, full page ad in the paper, or is it better to have multiple smaller ads spread out? Something for you to consider as you're making these decisions. Okay, the next slide. The tentative timeline is for this month and the next month. We'll continue to develop concepts, coordinate with parties and groups to plan for the rollout, and provide guidance on ad placements. And over the next month, we'd love to do some soft launches. So that means, before we officially launch the program, we want to have some of that content already out there. So when we launch, we can point to it and say, hey, look, we just launched this program. It's already taking place here. It's already taking place here. So we'd love to have some, to already have some up and running by then, and we'd love to work with y'all to get that going as soon as possible. And then in September, we're hoping to do the official launch, where we will push it out far and wide, hopefully get some earned media, and that may be a good incentive if you want your local Democratic county party or group to get some news attention. We'll be contacting news organizations across the state about the program, sending out a press release, and if we can say that, if you want to get some attention called to your area, getting in early on this could be a really good way to do that. So next steps for y'all, you can go ahead and, if you're interested in learning more or want to go ahead and dive in, you can fill out the survey. That's txdem.co/ladybird-survey, or you can scan that QR code if you can get it. And I can make sure that we get this presentation sent around after too. Go ahead and start reaching out to donors and other interested parties in your area. Like what Burke was saying earlier with regards to relational. Think about folks in your area who would like to do something like this. Think about folks in your area who may have a good network of other folks who may want to do stuff like this. So reach out to those folks and then identify opportunities for advertising. And those are the main steps that we'd love for y'all to take with you after this. I realized as I get to the end of this, I didn't even explain why we're calling it Project Ladybird. So much like Lady Bird Johnson is renowned for beautifying our highways with wildflowers, we want to beautify the political landscape in our state the same way with our messaging, with strong, positive, branded messaging to spread the good news of Democrats across the state. So I really hope that y'all will, that folks will dive in. I'm really excited about this. I think if we dive into this, I think it could be a really big deal, because nothing like this, as far as I know, has ever been tried before. So it's new, uncharted territory. We are building the plane as we're taxiing down the runway to try to take it off. So we're figuring out a lot of it as we go along, but we'd love to have y'all along on the ride early with us. So be sure to fill out that survey. Shoot me an email. My email is drew@txdemocrats.org. Happy to talk to you.